match point for Joao Fonseca, considering he has started cramping a little bit. Even more important for him to close it out here and not go to the tiebreak and stuff like that. And he will. It's a serve out wide, and Learner Tien tries to block it. Massive, massive win for the US Open 2023 Junior Champion. I'm mentioning that because he beat Lerner then. It's a nice warm hug between them. And Joao Fonseca will be moving on to the second round. So yeah, let's talk about the match first. Of course, it's now 4 consecutive wins for Joao Fonseca against Learner Tien. The head-to-head stands at 4-1. Again, I'm including the juniors because it was all so just not that long ago. So I think we can. And I think for the first time in this matchup, we did actually see Joao adjusting a bit. I think he definitely started incorporating more slices, forced Lerner to create a little bit more, and that was somewhat key because he was struggling so much on return with the lefty sliders. That of course, it's a fantastic serve for Lerner. It's one of his main strengths, despite not being a very powerful, a very tall player. So he was struggling Fonseca on return so much to try to get any traction on these, especially out wide on the out wide, out wide on the outside. He was just usually in so much trouble, but getting more slice in, getting more returns in, it really allowed him to just extend some of the points and potentially cause some issues. Lerner did kind of allow him to get back into it in a way as well when he had that consecutive double faults, right, moment for that was the second set. That was the break in the second set. But after that, I mean, Fonseca was holding more comfortably, despite again struggling a lot on return with the lefty sliders of Tien. And also, he kind of pushed past this tiebreak that he played in the opening set. The tiebreak was absolutely an absolute disaster, and he kind of pushed past this mentally very quickly. So that was good too. And yeah, otherwise, I mean, I don't think there were any like massive moments for Learner Tien where he could have taken it. I think he did a very good job surviving in the opening set, getting to that tiebreak despite not really, well, despite having to save a few breakpoints at 5 games all. And yeah, probably the one moment it went really wrong for Lerner was the consecutive double faults to get broken. Like that was just so out of nowhere. It wasn't because Fonseca was putting so much pressure on return, not really. And yeah, in the third set we also got a few scary moments for Fonseca physically in terms of the dizziness, the potential nausea, and also the cramp in the last game, but they never really impacted his play. So that's how he moves on with a 6-7, 6-3, 6-4 win. Let me see what was in the chat in the last few minutes, and then I'm also going to mention Humbert Fonseca in a moment, the match that will be, of course, the second round for Joao. Yeah, Fonseca Sinner will definitely be a fun matchup when we get to see it. I mean, maybe not right now, which, Yannick is off the tour anyway, so it won't happen until May at least. But I think by that point, maybe, yeah, Fonseca can tune in his game a little bit more, and we might get to see just how much of a, well, it's not a copycat at all, but there's a lot of similar, I think, footwork patterns, especially for Fonseca Sinner. The crazy acceleration, despite not being like all that, I guess, muscular. Fonseca is bigger than Sinner, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I think that there will be some similarities that will be fun to kind of just see them hand in hand. Yeah, Dave was feeling a break, and I obviously can't say that there was not a part, there wasn't a part of me that was like, yeah, it's very much a possibility. But as I said, the condition of Fonseca, so what Dave is mentioning here, that either the puking or the cramp, it just never really impacted his play. Yeah, exactly. Good for him that he won't have to play tomorrow. I do think that's true. I didn't actually get to see my stats screen, but I see it on here now. Yeah, I mean, pretty much how it ended up being the entire match, right? The unreturned serves, you can see that they were eventually like very close. In fact, Fonseca, no, I think maybe it was still Tien a little ahead, but after the opening set, it was just like a landslide, right, for Lerner. So just getting some of these returns in, even though they weren't amazing, that was already something quite important for Fonseca there. Tough loss for Lerner, but he was keeping up the entire time. Can't wait for the next meeting. Yeah, I mean, it definitely never felt like Fonseca is out of the woods and, the match is done. I don't think we ever got that moment. If he went like up a double break in the third set, but that was never a possibility, right? I guess there were two difficult service games for Lerner in the third set, but the first one was obviously a hold, and then the second one was a break. So yeah, there was literally no moment when like the match was done and we were just like, okay, yeah, Fonseca is definitely progressing. Anyway, he's going to play Ugo Humbert in the second round, and that's a match that we've already seen this year. Fonseca has lost only 4 matches this season. Of course, Sonego at the Australian Open. Of course, it was Draper in Indian Wells and Miller in Rio de Janeiro. But the fourth one, indeed, is Ugo Humbert at Davis Cup. And that was a match where, again, a lefty was kind of punishing the Fonseca backhand. And of course, it's a very different type of lefty. Humbert hits super flat, super aggressive, takes the ball very early. The Miami courts, I think, suit him well. And Davis Cup, though, was indoors. I don't think it was a particularly fast indoor venue, but still, indoors is exactly where that sort of like slicker ball striking of Humbert, flatter ball striking, just thrives. And I don't think the match was particularly close. Like 7-5, 6-3 doesn't sound that bad, but the opening set it was constantly Humbert causing issues, the serving and also the aggression at the backhand corner. Like Fonseca was constantly on the back foot, which he doesn't really like to be at yet, at least. And similarly, I don't think it's going to be an easy matchup for him. Getting that day off after playing today is essential. I feel like if it was tomorrow, he would be doomed because it's in 2 days and because he's such a talented player. Humbert tends to be a bit mercurial as well, and it's not indoors again, which that might save him. But if it was indoors, I would really probably struggle to see a way to a win for him. Because it's outdoors, it's closer. I do think Humbert is the favorite, though. Of course, Miami is also a better court for Fonseca than Indian Wells. There's not that much wind. It's faster. It's easier to come up with just like crisp ball striking, but that suits Humbert as well. And maybe after this match, Fonseca will be a bit more ready for the serves out wide. But there's going to be a lot of these sliders coming from Humbert as well. And just a very different matchup in the sense that Fonseca won't get to play offense all the time. I think even when he's playing someone like Lerner, which, the redirecting skills are amazing. And definitely the fact that he cannot just like blast through him was difficult for him to handle today. At least not on serve. He cannot blast through him, was difficult. But I think he still enjoys something like that more than he does someone like Humbert, who's going to force him to defend a lot. It's not going to be easy. He's super talented, so he has a shot, but it's not going to be easy. But yeah, Ugo Humbert, Learner Tien, the rematch. Ozan, thank you for the donation. And yes, I will definitely pronounce this in Polish. Of course, this, by the way, is not like a normal sentence. This is a tongue twister in Polish as well. So you are missing a W, by the way, before Szczebrzeszyn. Szczebrzeszyn is the name of a city. Chrząszcz is like an insect. And then the other words like brzmi, sounds and stuff like that. But basically, it's supposed to say in Szczebrzeszyn. So let me say the tongue twister now. W Szczebrzeszynie chrząszcz brzmi w Trzcinie. As you can hear, it's pretty tough, even for a Polish speaker. I have a slight issue with my speech on like sh, so it's also tough for me on the sh sound. This one is probably okay. Like I think I say it's more or less as any other Pole would. W Szczebrzeszynie chrząszcz brzmi w Trzcinie. But I have massive issues with szedł Sasha suchą szosą. That's one where the fact that I like have this, I don't know, speech impediment, a slight one, is very difficult for me. But this one too, because there's a lot of sh and stuff like that. Anyway, yeah, it's a difficult one for sure. Humbert doesn't really like weather, right? You mean just outdoors? Yeah, I mean he's definitely much better indoors. But these courts are pretty slick, and he's won Dubai before, for example. So it's not like he is horrible outdoors. But yeah, I mean indoor courts, anything slick in general, anything low bouncing, fast. That's where he enjoys himself the most. And yeah, Tien in a way was a warm up for Humbert. It's a very different lefty, but at least handling the lefty serves out wide, especially after this match, I think they will be aware that this is a potential issue more than they would be otherwise. I mean, of course, he's already played Humbert. They know that it will be, but yeah. Fonseca should win unless he's getting sick. Oh, no, that's a big call. Winning the challenger may have taken it out of him. Of course, it's not ideal that he played 5 matches last week, but at the same time, he gained 175 points. So it's also not the worst, no doubt. And I think that, obviously Phoenix ended on a Sunday. So quite a lot of time for Fonseca to recover. And yeah, because he has that day off, I do think he has a shot against Humbert. Tomorrow, I think he's done. Also getting sick today, yeah, we just don't know, but dizziness usually doesn't last all that long, right? I mean, it's probably like a 1 day problem rather than an entire event problem, at least most of the time. Oscarotte famously vomited twice on the way to qualifying for the US Open, and then, of course, ended up reaching the forefront. So that is something to look at. And I do think he was the original post puke player, because at the time he was ranked like 140 in the world. He actually had never been in the top 100. And then less than a year later, he was number 36, maybe at his peak. Then, of course, got injured and hasn't really returned to his best shape since. I think he's constantly struggling with the knees. But anyway, yeah, he was the original post puke variation of a player. Sinner came later. Fonseca, I don't think he eventually did puke today. Anyway, let's start talking about the puking. Why did I mention puking and vomiting so much today? I guess it suddenly became a factor and a theme in this match in the third set. But nonetheless, Joao Fonseca beats Learner Tien 6-7, 6-3, 6-4. Great win. Actually, some pretty decent adjustment mid-match, even if he's not the most tactical player generally. On serve, he was pretty comfortable the entire match and was able to forget about that breaker. Learner Tien also not going to be uber disappointed about this performance, I don't think. I mean, the second set, the consecutive double faults to get broken, like that was the moment where it kind of went wrong for him. After that, he was a bit outplayed, but he still kept himself close to Fonseca and never allowed Joao to feel that comfortable, especially, of course, considering the dizziness and the cramp in the last game. What is this? Among those with 5+ matches on the surface since 2020, Joao Fonseca is now the only South American winning record on hardcore at ATP level. That's kind of funny. 5+ matches on the surface since 2020. Of course, that's just tour level because it doesn't include Phoenix. So even Cerundolo will be below 50% then, right? Of course, I'm talking about Franz Cerundolo. I'm just wondering what South American could have a good record. Of course, no Brazilian. Like we've only had Brazilian clay specialists. Argentinian, I mean, yeah, Cerundolo just kind of instantly comes to mind. I wonder about like Comesaña, but I guess he might have either like not 5 matches, or actually because he lost in Miami, it might not be the case. How many matches does he have? I mean, of course, the stat is right because they are, they are always right for this account, and I think they're using a good database for that. I'm just wondering how. Okay, so Comesaña's record is now 2-5 only. Yeah, it's only the U.S. Open wins, and Cerundolo is just barely below 50% on hard courts, 41, 43. So yeah, Franz Cerundolo is definitely the closest in terms of that. Anyway, am I in Brazil? Yeah, that's actually pretty smart. Yeah, I like that. Um, of course, he is also referencing the fact that the crowd was just so wild that he basically might have felt like in Rio de Janeiro today, which isn't good for him because in Rio de Janeiro he felt nervous. He felt nervous, but that was after winning Buenos Aires as well. So, and also, earlier, like Buenos Aires, he won on Sunday and then he had to play on Wednesday in Rio. Anyway, really not important right now. I think this is obviously the right moment to end the stream. Almost 3 a.m. for me, but this was a match that I wanted to watch anyway. In fact, without the stream, I probably wouldn't have because I would have been way too tired. But the stream has a way of just like injecting adrenaline into your veins. And for some of that, of course, I have to thank you guys here in the chat, keeping me awake and helping me survive this one as Joao Fonseca also survived Learner Tien. So once more, thank you for the comments, and yeah, we'll see you some other time. As I mentioned to Jake earlier, I'm not quite sure what my let's say content plans will be over the next few days, but either way, just keep checking the channel, and you'll be aware of what we are heading towards. Anyway, yeah, you're the man as well, Dave. Thank you, and see you.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.